Alrighty. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. I had a bit of a coughing fit, and man, that was a rough one. Ooh. I guess it's part of COPD. I get a lot of buildup, and normally it's not too bad to get cleared out, but yeah, right before the show, my butt got kicked good. So, and by the way, when you see me coughing and clearing my throat and all that good stuff, that's why. So, anyway, got a lot of different crazy stuff tonight. It's been a pretty active days off, if you will. Friday, Saturday, even today, kind of active. I think that we are going to see, even though we are, within a week of Christmas, I think we're going to see quite a bit unfold. I don't think it's going to take much of a break. So, keep your eyes open. I don't think, we're not in normal times. And normally, coming up on a holiday season, a lot of things would really be kind of held back. And I don't see that happening this time. This year, I see them continuing on the same old path. I don't see them taking a break. And when I say them, I'm speaking about everything going on, whether it's involving other nations, whether it's craziness here with Fauci and what have you. I don't think it's going to let up. I was kind of hoping it would. I was kind of hoping that maybe we would have a week. Wasn't quite as crazy. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to stay pretty busy. I do think that there are probably going to be some pretty big developments between now and Christmas. I think between Christmas and the New Year, there's going to be some large developments. But after that New Year, I think it's going to go downhill real super quick. But again, I think we're close enough to whatever it is. I mean, pick a thing. And I don't think it's going to let up a whole lot. Unfortunately, I was hoping it would. I've got a lot of crazy news. I've got several tabs open, like usual. I mean, I've got a lot open tonight. And so I figured I would kind of jump into that pretty quick because of everything else. I want to make sure I don't go too long tonight. Obviously, my body's going to have fun playing Keep Up with the Mucus with me, so I'm going to do my best to get through. So it's amazing, by the way, how much mucus the human body can produce. Not to gross anybody out, but it's pretty amazing. Okay. I guess I ought to bring you over so you can take a peek too. like I say, we've got a lot of different things to cover, different things to talk about. That's why the title of the show is kind of what it is, because, yeah, that's all included. If I can find the buttons, I'll press them. Oh, tell you, I'm still a bit warm. And I would probably do myself a lot of good if I cut down on the sugars and, I have a bunch of sugar and creamer in my coffee, and then I drink tea if I'm not drinking coffee, and it's sweet tea, so. Oh. Okay. So, as you know, a large amount of the world is looking at huge energy problems this year, especially throughout the winter. The United States is not going to be an exception to that. But over in Europe, it's already hidden. Ukraine is what you're seeing in front of you. And it just says here, several regions of Ukraine are facing heating cuts due to critically low fuel reserves at thermal power plants. The Kiev-based weekly newspaper Zerkalo Nedeli claimed on Thursday, citing a report by the country's security service. Apparently to them, the SBU sent the Ukrainian government a report on the state of critical infrastructure facilities in the electricity sector and concluded that many power plants may run out of coal in the near future. Let me see. I'm not going to try to read the whole thing. It says reserves are 50 tons below the norm. That is not good. I didn't see where it said exactly how long they expected to be able to stay supplied, so I'm not seeing that. But 50 times below the norm. I would say it's probably safe to say they're going to have a massive shortage real quick. Hang on. Huh. So they are not the only ones. Like I say, Europe. This here says, on top of an ongoing natural gas crunch, Europe faces the winter season with reduced nuclear output in France, exacerbating the energy crisis and leaving large parts of the continent praying for a milder winter. France's EDF stopped on Thursday 2 nuclear power plants after finding a fault at one during routine maintenance. This brings the total number of nuclear plants out of operation currently at 4, which account for 13% of the current power availability in France, a major electricity exporter to neighboring countries and to the UK. So that's 13% of their grid offline. They are looking at the natural gas crunch. They're looking at oil crunches. I believe coal is an issue there. And again, a lot of this is caused by government bureaucracy and red tape and all of this, clean energy. And I'm not against the idea of clean energy. What I'm against is a bunch of morons flipping that switch too quick and putting people in peril. That's what I'm against, and that's what they did. I have no problem with doing things better and smarter and cleaner and whatever. I'm all for that. But there's a smart way to do it, and then there's an idiotic way to do it, and, they pretty well choose idiotic anytime they can, it seems. But anyway, bad news for over there. And I think this is going to continue to get worse. And remember, as every one of these suppliers, energy suppliers, if you will, or producers, shuts down, that puts more strain on the rest of the grid. So if you've got other places, other power plants or what have you, or even just substations or transfer station, whatever. If they're weak, if they've got weak links, okay, that's going to be more strain on different portions of the grid. So you could see, excessive amounts of failures in the parts of the grid that are active and trying to keep up with everything that the parts of the grid that aren't active. It's kind of like a shell game, really. It really truly is. Kind of neat how those systems work, but they're not perfect. There's, it just is what it is. At least it's not like the old style Christmas lights to where one part of the grid goes down and the whole nation goes out. That's a good thing. Be kind of messed up if that happened. Anyway, moving on. UN talks on killer robots fail. I kind of didn't like that headline. So just kind of to briefly touch on it. Says UN talks aimed at thrashing out rules on the use of fully autonomous weapon systems have stumbled off stiff opposition from countries that invest heavily in military AI, leaving a legal vacuum. On Friday, the Sixth Review Conference and the Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons, or CCW, failed to arrange, further negotiations on the use of lethal autonomous weapon systems. Sorry, I'm trying. Parties to the convention merely agreed to continue discussions instead. We'll just keep talking about it. Despite calls for an ambitious plan made earlier by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, the 5-day gathering in Geneva bore little fruit, after nations that are investing heavily in the development of killer robots blocked a decision on the establishment of legally binding rules. According to Reuters, citing unnamed sources, among the vetoing countries were the U.S., Russia, and India. Just the countries that will be investing the most. That's just the way it is. Of course, the United States and Russia, and I'm sure China isn't too interested in it either. I'm talking about rules against making these types of robots. I'm telling you, and I've been telling you, in this new conflict, this battlefield is going to be one like you've never imagined. That includes robots, including autonomous robots, drones of all sorts. It's going to be messed up. There's a lot of this stuff that is so far advanced, it's unreal. We don't hear about it. When these countries are bickering back and forth and showing off their weapons and stuff like that, that stuff's a joke. Seriously. I'm not saying it's not, it's not serious weapons, but what I'm saying is they're not putting their cards out on the table. Not even close. Not even close. And these countries have been working on these systems for how long? Look at DARPA and their robotics program. You don't think that they've already got armies ready to go? And I'm not necessarily talking iRobot stuff. I'm talking about you don't need iRobot stuff. You don't need iRobot stuff. Russia, I think it was Russia, unveiled a tank. A drone tank. Okay? I'm sure they've had those, and they've had them in production for probably decades, to be honest. It is what it is. But you're going to see that deployed more and more on battlefields. Because war is not popular among the majority. It's not. Not, especially not anymore. And so if these countries can take the human part out of it. So you have to understand there's so many things involved. Economies is part of that. And the military-industrial complex is hungry. They no longer have the war in the Middle East to be able to just keep sucking money from. And that war, although I'm sure they profited plenty, it's not the big profits. And they want a war with the big profits. And that's going to be your high-tech weapons. That's going to be the next generation of warfare. And we're about to see it. We're about to see it. I hope that these weapons are never turned against civilian populations. I hope. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think that's the goals. I just don't. I don't think that's the goals of these countries, to turn these things against civilian populations. Like I say, you never know. You never know. I thought this was kind of a crazy article just because witches executed 300 years ago to be posthumously, and I can't say it, I know, pardoned. I thought that was interesting, but I also wanted to use this as a reminder. The governments and or religions aren't beyond burning you at the stake because you don't believe what they do. You remember that. I mean, this is documented history. Documented history. It's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. When you look at what's going on today, without having to go into a lot of detail about it, kind of makes you wonder. My volume to them? I'll clip if I go too high. But you know, after seeing different things, different events happen over the course of history, whether we're talking the Holocaust, whether we're talking, you know, not just the Salem witch trials, but they had these witch trials, if you will, all over. And there has been time after time after time in history in which governments and or religion had no problem with wiping out mass amounts of people to fulfill whatever agenda or ideology that they had. And I hope we're not there again. But there are some awful concerning similarities. I just thought this was interesting. You know, I sit back and I often think, I really do, what it's going to be like, and I probably won't be here, but what it's going to be like 20 years from now. You know, what will have happened to certain players, if you will, in the things that are going on today. What's going to happen? Because I sit there, and I'm going to be a little vague with this. There'll be, I don't know, 2, maybe 3, I don't know, in the headlines. Because I do try to remember to post those. Athletes. Fit, healthy men and women. They're just falling over. And it's happening happening at a pretty alarming rate. And I can't help but think that a day is going to come and people are going to be held accountable. I hope it's the case. I'm not going to sit back and hold my breath and wait for other people to do stuff for me. You know, I'm not going to just wait for it. We need to push back. We need to push back. We need to stand firm, and we need to say no. Not just in what's going on with the sickness, but also in so many areas. Government has taken over control of social constructs that it has no business being involved in whatsoever. And not only forcing us to accept things that in some cases go against deeply held spiritual beliefs, but then they even go as far as to indoctrinating children in schools, all the while trying to hide the curriculum away from parents. And then when parents speak up and parents say, no, I don't want my child to be going to school and learning this stuff, hearing this stuff, well, then they just get the federal government to launch an investigation on the people. Start labeling them as domestic terrorists. It might have sounded a little nuts. Maybe, I don't know, 5, 8, 10 minutes ago when I was talking about how it seems like we might be here again. Because you think, well, burning people at the stake, and today, well, that's a stretch. Is it really? Is it really? Not so sure. Visually, what happened back then was a lot more traumatic to watch. Today, they take us out in our silence. Doesn't mean we ain't going. It just means I'm not going to be on the town square with everybody watching. What's that old saying about hanging alone? I can't remember. I'm sure y'all know. So I'm going to talk about this junk for a little bit. Let me have a sip, couple of vapes. Believe me, I'm doing a lot better than I was right before the show. I don't get concerned too often with it. I was starting to get concerned. Something about not being able to get air in and out that kind of concerning. Alright, got another headline. Let me sneak it out. That way it'll be in the list when we get there. And I guess we need to kind of move along. 100+ Marines kicked out of force for defying vaccine mandate. It says here over 100 U.S. Marines have been discharged for refusing to get vaccinated against COVID-19 as military punishments ramp up under President Joe Biden's strict vaccine mandate. The Marine Corps confirmed the discharges on Thursday in a statement to the Marine Corps Times. The 103 soldiers who have been booted from the force so far are expected to receive either an honorable or a general discharge. So, Marine Corps spokesman Major Jim Stinger told the magazine that 1,007 vaccine exemptions for medical and administrative reasons were granted, while 2,836 requests for religious exemptions have been rejected so far. It is widely expected that the force, which has yet to grant a single soldier an exemption on religious grounds over COVID-19 vaccination, would turn down nearly 300 remaining applications. So there you have it. That is, that's crazy. That's your First Amendment. Your first. I know that many in society don't look to a person's faith as something that's extremely important anymore. Most in society, I'm not saying everybody, but the majority surely don't have the same respect and regard for somebody else's faith or belief. I mean, they'll just trample right over them as if they don't matter. See, I'm careful. You know, there are ones that I come down on, but it's for activities that, I mean, come on. But you won't hear me come down on a faith or a belief system just because it's different than my own. I don't believe in that. Why? Well, I'm not supposed to. Not by command of the Father. Not per the Constitution. I mean, it's not my job. Not my job to judge. Court reinstates Biden vaccine mandate. This is the for the businesses with over 100 people. The court has apparently reinstated it. So, as far as I know, it hadn't gone back to another court yet to be unreinstated, if you will. But I'm sure it will, and I'm sure this will probably wind up in the hands of the Supreme Court before it's all over with. So, I would say if you fall under this category of individuals and you have held out this far, I would say stand firm. I have a feeling that this is going to be reversed. Again, reversed. Actually, we're at what? Reversed? I would imagine it's going to happen in pretty short order. So we'll see. Maybe even this week. Probably likely this week. Protesters clash with police during rally against COVID restrictions. Here it says anti-vaxxers have clashed with police during a demonstration against anti-COVID measures in central London, as officials admit they are extremely worried about epidemiological situation in the UK capital. Now, mind you, there is a lot of indication that the particular strain that's going around isn't going to be as bad as far as symptoms are concerned. Obviously, it's way more. I mean, this thing is spreading like crazy. Obviously, it's much more transmissible. But signs appear that the effects, the symptoms, are not as severe. So that's good news. Let's hope that that's what truly pans out. Meanwhile, Netherlands imposes a hard lockdown. says bars, cafes, and all but the most essential stores will close in the Netherlands until mid-January as the country goes into hard lockdown in a bid to slow the spread of the Omicron variant. The new restrictions were announced by the government on Saturday evening after an emergency meeting of Prime Minister Mark Rutte's cabinet that afternoon. The lockdown was recommended by the government's outbreak management team. A sudden press conference on Saturday, 4 days after the last one, does not indicate anything good, Rutte said during a televised briefing before delivering the bad news. The Netherlands goes back into lockdown. It shuts again. As of Sunday morning, all stores, services, and hospitality venues will close until January 14th, save for a few essential outlets like supermarkets and pharmacies. Bars and cafes will shut, and restaurants will provide takeout meals only. Schools, many of which are already finished for Christmas, will close their doors. So, I know there's a lot of individuals that are kind of projecting that there's going to be a bunch of craziness here, possibly lockdowns, schools going back to virtual learning. I don't know. I'm on the fence on that. Because you've had all these other nations for quite a while now doing some pretty insane stuff. Hadn't been quite the case here. You know, I did a report not long ago. I thought. At least I mentioned it during the show, if not a report. About these AI computers. I've done a couple reports recently on it. One of them was, I think it's China, that they're kind of wargaming with an AI computer to wargame their response to different things. Well, you better bet they do that with us all the time. They know. They know exactly how hard they can push before the American people just have had enough. I firmly believe they try to walk that line. And they just keep inching closer and closer to the reality that they want to see. And I think they're succeeding. This is Vienna. Anti-lockdown protesters clashed with police in Vienna. It says 7 people were detained in Austria's capital, Vienna, after opponents of strict COVID-19 restrictions broke through police barriers and clashed with the officers. The country is due to make vaccination compulsory in February. So now, here, I have a feeling that there are enough people that are fed up with the way things have been over the past 2 years, and they're not having it anymore. Now, that's Captain Obvious stuff, I understand. But here's the thing. You know how when Trump was in office, they always talked about how he played 3D chess? They always play 3D chess with us. Look at the Hegelian dialectic. Sorry, my sinuses, it's hard for me to say it right now. But just look at that. They're always playing 3D chess with us. So I want you to think about this. Right now, they have us in a good spot. For them. They have us so divided up in this country that it would be near to impossible for a very large group of any kind to form because we're so divided. And that's where they want us. That's where they need us. If they push on this too hard, man, that's going to get a whole hell of a lot of us to start overlooking some differences and pulling together for a main cause. You remember that line I was talking about just a moment ago? They want to just walk it. I think that's what they're doing and why they're doing it. Because they don't want to cross that line to start, us starting to pick and choose our battles, so to speak. They want us to fight over petty stuff, right? All the while they get away with the big stuff. It works. It works well. Look at how well it's worked. More COVID restrictions are inevitable. Yeah, I know, I can't say it. London mayor warns. I'm all clogged up, and it is what it is. Yeah, I'm going to try to go through these a little more expediently. Ooh, I feel sophisticated. Huh. Like a cool rush of air up your butt crack. Sorry. I better have another cup of coffee. Something's seriously wrong with me. I know what it is. A lack of oxygen to the brain. That's why I have emails reveal Fauci's effort to smear anti-lockdown scientists. How interesting, huh? Kid, hang on. Sorry. Had a kid that wasn't listening. Anyway. It says here, newly released emails show Anthony Fauci and his boss at the U.S. National Institutes of Health wanted to conduct a quick and devastating takedown of health experts who proposed a lockdown-free COVID-19 control strategy. Says the emails released on Friday by the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Crisis showing retiring NIH Director Francis Collins telling Fauci in October 2020 to discredit the Great Barrington Declaration, a statement that proposed working towards achieving herd immunity through focused protection of the most vulnerable. Days after the GBD was released, Collins notified Fauci and other health officials about how the proposal from 3 fringe epidemiologists, I know I screwed up, was getting a lot of attention and called for a quick and devastating published takedown of its premises. I think that's supposed to be premise. But anyway, it's crazy. And again, that's why I said earlier, I wonder, I really do, 20 years from now, what's going to become of all this? CNN closing their offices to most of their workers over Omicron. Why? I don't get this. I just don't understand it. I mean, I guess they really do want to instill that fear into people, and I think, man, I'll tell you what, I have sat there and watched enough of the big players in this kind of already start to back up. And when I say that, what I mean is not necessarily back up as we see it right in front of us, but they're already starting to talk, I think 2022 is going to be, that's going to be pretty much the end of our worries of, they're already starting to kind of back up, because I think they know. They know this variant seems to be a blessing. It does, because it seems to be the end of it, and I think they know it, and anybody that's paying attention knows it, and I don't understand why we are still playing games. I don't get it, because I don't think the people are going to fall for it. I think there are far more people today that are less gullible about all of this than there was 6 months ago. And I think that's going to continue to grow rapidly as they keep trying to spread that fear. And as we see for our own selves the lack of reason to do so. Anyway, change up topics here. A lot has went on in the international front, especially with the countries that seem to be in a little bit of a rift, if you will. Russia formally quits open skies. Formally, yeah. Russia has officially left a landmark strategic agreement that allowed surveillance flights over its territory. Moscow said the U.S. wrecked the post-Cold War confidence-boosting treaty on open skies by abandoning it last year. Signed in 1992, it allowed countries to conduct a certain number of short-notice, unarmed reconnaissance flights over each other's territory. The deal was devised to bolster transparency and build confidence after decades of mistrust. So yeah, I always got a kick out of that because there were so many individuals when they would do their flights that would try to fearmonger it. Russia flew a reconnaissance plane right over the center of the United States. Yeah. And we would fly them over their country, their territories, so that was part of the deal. That was the treaty. I don't think it really matters. And to be honest, I think that's what both the nations see. This is eye candy, is all it is. Because if you don't think that Russia and the United States have the capability to build bases underground, to put in missile silos from underground, you're silly. Because that's what we've done with a lot of operations over the past several decades, is start taking it underground. In fact, and this is my opinion, I think that a fair amount of the strange sounds that were constantly being reported, and the booms, and the minor earthquakes, I think they were working underground in some of the cases. I think they were working underground. That makes this stuff pointless. Really does. And with the advancement in technology and satellites, really, satellite's going to be able to do pretty much just as much as that plane will. So, anyway, moving on. It's still an escalation nonetheless. India test fires nuclear-capable ballistic missile. So India has tested its next-generation nuclear-capable ballistic missile on Saturday. The ground-based weapon is designed to strike enemy fleets in the Indo-Pacific, the country's media said. Just in time, right? The Agni-P missile, also called Agni Prime, I don't know if it's closely related to Optimus Prime or not, I'll have to ask, was launched from a small island off the coast of the state of Odisha in eastern India. The launch was a success, completing all mission objectives with high level of accuracy, India's Ministry of Defense said in a statement. Okay, now here's the thing. I think, yeah, I've got another article involving India. Some pretty large developments, to be honest. But nonetheless, I don't think that there's much coincidental about the timing of this, okay? But tuck this in the back of your head. We've got more about India. In fact, here, let me drag India on up here, right here. Russia-India cooperation in diamond industry growing at S-400 missile speed. Kind of a funny title, isn't it? Now, I'm not even sure because I didn't go through this entire article. I didn't need to. Because I figured it wasn't in here anyway. And it's not. Because I didn't think it would be. What you are seeing is a message. I don't know if you recognize it or not. But I think what you're seeing is propaganda. And I think what it is Russia trying to give the United States a hint that it will do trade with India for more S-400 missile systems. Now remember, India just got done making a big deal with Russia on those missile systems not that long ago. So I really do think, I honestly do think, I mean, that literally, that's the quote. He said, they are developing and growing at the speed of an S-400 missile. That was the quote. That was intentional. So keep an eye on that. I think India is gonna turn because they were pretty allied with us for a while. I think times for that are changing. Belarus comments on possibility of hosting Russian nukes. It says right here, Belarus could decide to host Russian nuclear weapons on its territory amid growing tensions with the West and fears of a NATO buildup in neighboring states, specifically Poland, Minsk foreign minister has warned. So, it just says in late November, Lukashenko floated the idea as an option if U.S. atomic missiles were to be deployed deeper into Eastern Europe. I said I will suggest that Russia's President Vladimir Putin return nuclear weapons to Belarus, Lukashenko stated, adding that those nuclear armaments would be the most effective deterrent. Well, yeah. Sorry, my neck. It would absolutely, but it would also directly cause Russia to protect Belarus in their better interest because they have nuclear weapons there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Let me see. Okay. Ours, however, our meaning hypersonic missile, once again failed. Third time in a row. We can't seem to get this. And I don't think, believe me, I don't think they're trying to fool anybody. I don't think that they're trying to. No, I think we've got problems with it. That's not an easy thing to achieve. And that's why the United States, namely the Pentagon, was so perplexed, especially with the test flights from China, with what they have, because literally we can't figure out how they were able to achieve what they did. We have no idea. And that's not, that's coming from a scientific perspective, if you will. I mean, there's a better word, I'm sure. But there are a lot of people that are in awe at what they achieved with their system. And nobody really knows how they could have pulled it off. So this isn't surprising to me that we are struggling so much with this. You have to understand, Russia and China have been at this for decades. They've been developing these hypersonic weapons for decades. The moment of truth has come for Russia and NATO, says Moscow. Says here, Moscow's new proposals for security guarantees are aimed at averting a potential military conflict with NATO, Russia's deputy FM has said, noting that the country's relations with the U.S.-led bloc have reached a tipping point. The comprehensive deal proposed to the U.S. and NATO this week serves the best interest of all the parties involved and is designed to avoid a potential military showdown through political dialogue, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko said Saturday. Now, I'll hold up a second here. I watched a video today by, well, I should have knew better. I watched a video from Bo the Fifth Column. And he was kind of talking about the international situation. And I don't know if he's just trying to comfort himself or what the deal with that is. But he was trying to more or less go at it with the attitude it won't happen to us. I mean, that's what I got out of it. He doesn't think that any of these countries want to go to war. And I'm not so sure on that. I think at least 2 out of the 3 major countries involved, meaning China, Russia, USA, I think 2 out of 3 of the countries do want to go to war. Like, with each other. I don't necessarily think the 3rd country wants to get involved in a major conflict. But I think they might be eyeing up some territory that they would like to have. And I'm talking about Russia. I don't know that Russia really is real hip on the idea of going to war directly with the United States. I don't think so. I think China would like to break off a piece of the U.S. I don't think they would be too heartbroken over it. And I do think that the United States, especially the military-industrial complex, wants to get back to work. So to just say, they don't want to go to war, I'm pretty sure he was just trying to comfort himself. I don't know. That guy, I really enjoyed watching him when Trump was in office. Because it's almost like it grounded him. You know? But now, I mean, he literally has to pull everything into Trump and blame Trump for every single thing that's happened ever since the birth of Jesus. I'm serious. This guy is off the charts. It's amazing the stretches just to pull Trump in and blame Trump. Of course, all of this Trump's fault. And in his mind, not mine, his mind. China and Russia are ready to end U.S. dominance of global finance. That's a fact. Russian President Vladimir Putin held extensive talks with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping earlier this week, with the 2 world leaders agreeing on plans to establish a new shared international financial framework. China and Russia have been gradually moving towards such an arrangement since the global financial crisis of 2008 revealed the risks of excessive reliance on the U.S. However, American economic sanctions against both Moscow and Beijing appear to have intensified the search for alternatives. So, and I'm sure you've heard about this. You better believe it. And you're going to see a lot of countries jump on board. It's not going to be just China and Russia. They're going to set it up initially between the two, but I guarantee you they're going to open it up. Why wouldn't they? Be foolish not to. Germany responds to Russian NATO proposals. This says NATO should engage in dialogue with Russia, but the U.S.-led military bloc ought not stand for Moscow telling its members what to do, Germany's new defense minister declared on Sunday during a visit to Lithuania. Christine Lambrecht, and I probably said her name wrong, made the statement during a press conference with her Lithuanian counterpart. Oh my goodness, I'm not even trying that name. In the town of Rukla. The minister said that while it was important and right to discuss the proposals put forward by Russia, NATO wouldn't allow Moscow to tell its member states how to position themselves. The German defense minister's recipe for de-escalating tensions boiled down to diplomacy paired with credible deterrence in response to what the West believes is Moscow's desire to invade Ukraine. The official, who was sworn in last week, said it was no coincidence that her first foreign visit in her new capacity was to Lithuania. She assured that person that Berlin understands the concerns of its Baltic allies who are feeling threatened. So, I'll tell you what they should feel threatened with. Any countries that want to stand on their doorstep to protect them. Think about that. If fighting breaks out, who's going to get stomped? That's right. Those that the other countries said they were there to protect. They're the ones that's going to get stomped. Funny how that works. Alrighty. Hang on a minute. Let me mute the mic for a second. So does that have like two meanings when I say that? Mute the mic, the microphone, and me? I don't know. Stupid joke. Alright. Got all the headlines from Friday that I figured I would cover with you. I might as well jump on into it. We're already at 5 after 9. And I'll just try to kind of whip through these the best I can. I will do my best not to repeat things I've already covered. But, yeah, I suck. Okay, judicial nominee refuses to say if crimes would be forgiven in the name of social justice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you need to answer that. 24 dead in suspected arson attack in Japan, says the media. Again, this is Friday's news. Tories suffer stunning election defeat. Russia prepared to talk with NATO in neutral country. I didn't cover that one. Cause of deaths at Travis Scott Festival revealed. And I was kind of shocked by this, but they said it was asphyxiation. I mean, I'm not saying that that's not what happened to any of them, obviously, but why did the initial people fall over? You know what I mean? The initial ones that started everybody to get scared. That would be my question. I mean, you can't tell me somebody's just standing there and then next thing you know, they die from asphyxiation. I mean, that's not really something that happens a whole lot when you're just standing there. Pro-Zelensky MPs getting $20,000 monthly secret payments, says former aide. Cyber mercenary spied on Facebook users. Mr. Big ad canned by Peloton after sexual assault claims. American arrested for trying to spy for Russia. A baseball player, 20 years old, dies with no cause of death. Interesting, isn't it? Let's see. Worst company of the year named. I can't remember what it is. Hang on. Meta. Yeah, how could I not remember that? Meta. I am gonna throw a toilet paper roll at a dog. I'm telling you. Where's she at? Oh, that's an easy spot to get. Okay. If I hear it again.
She's right there. Beside you.
That's it. We're trading her for a ferret. Let's see. Storm of Omicron on the horizon, the Wales government warns. South Africa's hospitalization rate plunges amid Omicron wave. Huh. Shocking, isn't it? Judges mull Harvey Weinstein retrial, says reports. Russia looking into taxing U.S. tech giants directly. Pinochet's, and I don't know how to say that name, formidable widow who pushed him into coup dies. I think it's Pinochet or something. Oh, I don't care. Call it Pinocchio. I don't care. China in censorship agreement for Olympic athletes. Bolsonaro wants to expose health officials who approve COVID-19 vaccine for kids. Stock up on milk and gas, says dollar about to hit zero, says a crypto guru. Heart inflammation cases confirmed in kids after the Pfizer jabs. I'm just YouTube. I'm reading the article. Boeing to build next airplane in virtual reality. Iran puts nuclear talks on hold again. Russia reveals security proposals to the West. MSNBC host hits back at Musk and Karen Rowe. Parents plead to authorities over transgender U.S. swimmer. Yeah, that's ridiculous what's going on with that. And what's even more ridiculous is, there's individuals that need to be stepping forward, and it shouldn't have taken them this long to stand up and step forward. Nobody's stepping forward. Nobody's stepping forward. EU inflation soars to 30-year high. Shark proteins neutralize coronavirus, says a study. So I wonder if that means if you get COVID, jump in the waters off of the coast of Florida, get bit by a shark, and you're cured. Makes sense. City using AI tech to stop bridge suicides. I guarantee you, if you have COVID and you go in shark-infested waters, you won't die from COVID. Tool to predict dementia onset with 92% accuracy revealed. Oil to hit $100 a barrel, says Goldman Sachs. Schools ramp up security over shooting threats on TikTok. Yeah, that was crazy. I know that stuff was put out in Highland, as far as they were going to ramp up police patrols and whatnot, and put extra law enforcement at the schools and all that. It's the people that give this stuff power. It's the people that give this stuff power. We used to live in a different time, a time where we didn't negotiate with terrorists, and we didn't enable people that did things for attention. Why? Because that encourages more people to seek attention in those manners, in those ways. And so we didn't do it. Now, we give it as much attention as we can, and it almost seems like it becomes a level of suggestion. It's crazy. It's crazy. How many, we haven't, thankfully. We haven't seen any, I don't think, in the last couple of years. Remember all those purge things that would go around 2-3 times a year? There's going to be a purge. Somebody photoshopped a paper. There's going to be a purge. And how many people were convinced of it? That it was going to happen or something was going to happen? People are what gives that nonsense power. If you ignore it, not only will nothing still happen, but they'll quit it. Let's see. And I'm not saying, by the way, let me make myself perfectly clear. I'm not saying not beef up security when stuff like this goes on. Just don't let it be known. Just keep your mouth shut. Make sure that the ramping up you do is plainclothes and out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm not saying don't take extra measures to protect the children. What I'm saying is stop giving the attention getters what they want. Stop enabling them. Russia demands YouTube restore RT's German broadcast channel. Yeah, they've just banned the channel. I mean, they just, literally started the channel, and I think it was the same day, the same morning, they just banned them. No, just boom, outright. Turkish stock market halts trading as lira crashes. We're still on Friday's news. A whistleblower on alleged Qatar human rights abuses learns fate in bid to avoid years in prison. First ever true millipede discovered, says scientists. Russian proposals to U.S. and NATO, not a menu to choose from, says Moscow. France wants EU to start legal case against the UK. Fauci wants COVID mandate to be rebranded. We want you to be rebranded. Brandon. White House responds to Russian security proposals. Aristocrat dubs Scrooge McDuke over outlandish rent demand. Wow, I can't say any of that headline. Nord Stream 2 delayed is not political, says Germany. Nah, of course not. WHO approves the 9th COVID-19 vaccine. I wonder if Russia's getting pissed off by now. Because they're still, as far as I know, still waiting for WHO approval for Sputnik 5. They've got to be getting pissed off by now. Thieves steal entire bridge in Ohio. I mean, they stole the bridge. Sputnik 5 offers long-lasting protection against Omicron, says a Moscow study. Hey, you know what? I quit believing everything I hear back when that one lady told me love me long time. And it didn't love me long time. It was 10, 15 minutes, and I never seen her again. Singapore urges vigilance over critical software bug. Sorry, I'm bad with the jokes tonight. I'm sorry. Bolsonaro and police crosshairs over spreading election disinfo. Poll reveals how many Americans think media pushes own agenda over facts. Watchdog warns of major risk from anti-5G jewelry. Kremlin reveals whether Putin will meet Elon Musk. A thong-wearing mask flouter said he's making history. I guess you are. Yeah, there was a bridge that was stolen. They literally stole the bridge. Okay, hang on. Let me back up. So this is the ordeal. It wasn't the Chesapeake Bay Bridge or, nothing like that. Golden Gate Bridge or nothing. that this was essentially the bridge here. Happened in Akron, Ohio, and apparently was a 58-foot bridge, and it was setting in a field. They were going to restore the bridge, and I guess over a period of several days, as the article states, you know the old saying, one piece at a time. The old song, you know, they just kind of one piece at a time the bridge on out of there, and now the Akron, Ohio people are bridgeless. Instead of sleepless in Seattle, it's bridgeless in Akron. So, yeah, a bridge. Literally stole a bridge. But, you know, I'm betting that they took it for the scrap metal. I'm thinking that's what happened there. So, yeah. Literally stole a bridge. EU calls to cut Russia off the SWIFT in case of Ukraine invasion. Butchered that headline as well. We're still on Friday, by the way. I'm working to get through this. Polish soldier defects to Belarus, says reports. U.S. lawmakers claim risk of surveillance from digital yuan use at 2022 Olympics. Yeah. This stuff, I look at headlines like this, and you have to understand that this is fear-mongering going on. This is politicking going on. Because if you hadn't been paying attention, China's been collecting Americans' DNA with COVID tests. China's been collecting American DNA with ancestry nonsense. Man, you better believe we are being tracked. All of us, right now. By more than just the United States government. And they always talk about all these other ways that they can surveil us and track us and all of that. But yet, we don't hardly ever hear about this anymore. I'm holding up a cell phone. We don't hear much about it. Why? Almost every single one of us carries one of these around. It has the ability to transmit audio and video at any given time. Has the ability to give our GPS location at any given time, and if that's not enough, they can use triangulation with the radio towers. I mean, do they really need to use the digital yuan? Not so much. RT in Germany, a nuisance to be taken care of, says EU regulator. Biden calls VP President Harris again. Turkey blasts EU over stalled accession talks. Russia passes controversial new ID law. Study reveals how to get super COVID immunity. Google under fire for treatment of black female employees, says Reuters. RT ready to keep fighting for its German channel amid unprecedented pressure, says the deputy editor-in-chief. U.S. National Security Advisor says Putin hasn't yet decided to invade Ukraine. Civil servant tasked with investigating number 10 parties held his own party. Global warming might give rise to zombie pathogens in the Arctic, says a top official to RT. And I've heard this for a long time, actually. And it's correct. That science is correct. But it almost seems like, oh, we got to dig for the next one. We got to dig for the next one. No pun intended. Ghislaine Maxwell says no need to testify at trial. New York City vaccine checker caught in her own trap. Let's see. Tone deaf on the role of journalism, says a Pulitzer Prize winner on EU regulators' attack on RT. Oops. House COVID committee assigns blame for botched pandemic response. Of course, it was Trump's fault. California mayor declares state of emergency to tackle drugs and street pooping. That's a good plan, you know? That's a good plan. Maybe, maybe that whole thing wasn't a good idea to begin with. So I think they're changing quite a bit up right now in San Francisco. I think they're doing away with all the nonsense things that they put in place. I think they're getting rid of them pretty quick. Because, I mean, come on. I mean, that's stupidity. Pfizer to test COVID booster dose on infants and young kids. I'm going to repeat that headline. Pfizer to test COVID booster dose on infants and young kids. Governor reveals if she plans to shut New York City down amid record spike in cases. Yay, we are to Saturday's news, finally. Oh, goodness. I'm telling you, we didn't have a shortage of news. That's for sure. California votes to drop 3,000 pounds of poison from helicopters. Can we pick the spot? No? Damn it. Russian truck maker giant looks to prisons for staff. A leading cause of death among 18 to 45-year-old Americans revealed, and it's not COVID. It's actually fentanyl overdoses. Switzerland likely to hold vote on compulsory vaccination. Armenia and Azerbaijan announce a new deal. Again, I'm on Saturday's news now, yesterday. Musk tweets on stock sales land Tesla in court. A hidden epidemic killing more in Russia than anywhere else in the world. Ukraine faces heating cuts as fuel crisis warns, says the media. Oh, sorry, I covered that one. A top film director apologizes after rift with Putin over breaking up Russia. World's major grain supplier limits exports. That would be Argentina. And you're going to see a lot of countries doing that because of not only inflation but food shortages. Thousands of anti-mandate protesters besiege police station. Russian snipers stage camouflage drills in snowy Far East. Utter destruction as super typhoon ravages the Philippines. A university could hire professors on woke score, says the media. Ridiculous. Covered that one. Omicron cases doubling in less than 3 days, says the WHO. Sorry about that. Russia quits strategic surveillance agreement abandoned by the U.S. Actually, I covered that one. I think they changed the headline, though. IEA gives world reality check on dirty coal use. Amazon's patents could turn whole neighborhoods into surveilled space. I got news for you. Too late? Court reinstates Biden vaccine. Covered that one. Fake. Oh, you're going to love this. Fake gynecologist tricked a woman into online vaginal examinations. Guys, knock it off. I know there was at least one guy out there who was like, No. NATO will cooperate with Russia on one condition. UK ministers working on new lockdown plans, says reports. Covered that. Trump claims that Israel had absolute power over Congress. Covered that one. Unexpected Omicron symptom discovered. Yeah, that's loss of appetite. So, I believe the old usual symptoms, if you will, like the, inability to taste and smell, that's only happening in about 50% of the cases, from what I understand. However, now they're starting to see a large amount of people that get the Omicron variant, they lose their appetite, which is different than the previous variants. So a lot of information still to come from this, but it does, from all indications, look like it is much less serious as far as the symptoms. A state sponsor of terrorism threat will undermine relations with the U.S., says a top Russian senator. London declares a major incident over Omicron. Let's see. Harris bristles at suggestion that Biden isn't the president. Covered that one. Suspected shopping cart killer arrested after gruesome murders. I thought that was crazy. Covered that. Program could see felons evade prosecution for sexual battery and assault, says the media. And that's, of course, in Los Angeles. Go figure. The place where they're still encouraging people to poop on the sidewalk. San Francisco, you guys got to quit that now. Los Angeles, have at it. Brexit minister resigns over disillusionment with Bojo's government, says the media. PETA tells New Yorkers how they should treat rats. I'm surprised, right, that, PETA's, well, not surprised, but PETA's sitting there telling them how they should treat rats, which I'm not really sure how they're saying they should treat rats, but the UN is telling them to eat the rats. So, who knows? Just whatever. I don't know. Take the rat out to a nice dinner and then make the rat the dinner. I don't know. CDC's miscalculated jab data poses a risk as winter looms. U.S. military causes a sonic boom by accident. Probably wasn't an accident. That pilot was like, hey, watch this. Russia to create counter threats if West snubs its security proposals. Covington teen settles with another U.S. outlet over bogus hate crime story. Let's see. Baby gets adult dose of COVID-19 jab instead of the flu shot. That happened in South Korea. U.S. air defenses intercept rockets targeting Baghdad's green zone, says the media. Finally, we are to this morning's news. Hang on a second. Alrighty, on the home stretch. Alright, this is stuff that I shared out from this morning. A New York Times investigation reveals hundreds of civilian deaths uncounted in U.S. strikes. Half of U.S. oil pipelines sit empty. Wall Street Bank hit with fines for using WhatsApp. Brexit minister warns against coercive COVID measures in resignation letter. Covered that. Scientists force human brain cells into matrix-like simulation. It's called Meta. A Polish politician told female colleague to sleep with Ukrainian visitor. Russia saving gold and kopecks for a rainy day. Cover that one. Coffee prices to surge amid bean shortage. Covered that one. Mammoth graveyard containing rare skeletons are discovered. France risks losing 30% of auto jobs and shift to EVs, electric vehicles, if anybody's wondering. Eurozone inflation soaring significantly higher, says the ECB. By the way, and a lot of the reason for that is electric vehicles are a lot less complex than combustion engine vehicles. A lot less. Let's see. Eurozone inflation soaring significantly higher, says the ECB. Covered that. Britain highly unlikely to send troops to the Ukraine, says the minister. Covered that. Russia comments on fines for anti-vaxxers. Covered that. Covered that. Washington hunts Russian citizens in third countries, says Moscow. Police send ludicrous Christmas cards to criminals. U.S. Air Force embraces gender pronouns, but they don't embrace people that don't take the jab. How do you like that? I mean, it depends, I guess, on what kind of jab, you know. Actually, no. It would appear, actually, that the Air Force is promoting all kinds of jabs. Sad. Joe Manchin to kill Biden's signature bill. Russia has no right to tell NATO what to do, Germany warns. Oh, this is seriously a corona crisis. A truck carrying beer flips on a busy highway. That was in the Netherlands, so you Americans calm down. No need to put on your boots and but it was Corona beer, so alcohol abuse on a very grand scale there. Sensitive UK police data leaked by Russian hackers, says the media. Trump says he had a great relationship with Killer Z. Spanish Catholic Church to conduct child sex abuse probe, says the media. I'm going to let that one go tonight. I ain't got the energy. But brother, former UK Labour leader arrested for inciting violence. Let's see. Retiring NIH director issues warning to tired Americans. Twitter censors account that alleged another CNN pedophilia scandal. Dozens detained amid anti-COVID restrictions in protest in Brussels. Former Ghani advisor reveals Afghan government's biggest mistake in run-up to the U.S. withdrawal. Former GOP candidate for vice president on COVID vaccine says, "Over my dead body." Sarah Palin. Texas restarts Trump's pet project, the wall, that is. Chile turns leftward with election of its youngest ever president. And retired generals warn of lethal chaos in the U.S. military after the 2024 vote. So, wow. Hopefully that was enough headlines for the night. That was a whole week in itself, it almost seemed. Anyway, with that, I am going to get the heck out of here. And, try to relax. Got a busy week coming. I hope you're ready for it. So, do your best, your absolute best, to enjoy. If you celebrate the upcoming holidays, do your best to enjoy it with your loved ones, please, because next year this time, I don't think it's going to be much of a possibility. I'm just being honest. So take that time. Take that time. So, and I would urge people, if you have differences with your family members, especially over different things that we talk about, COVID, the jab, conflict with other nations, whatever it may be, seriously try to put it away. Do your best. And just try to enjoy one another. Remember that no matter how hard you try, words cannot be unspoken. A lot of people are tense, and rightfully so. But we still need each other. No matter how pissed off we get at one another, we're still all each other has. We can't lose sight of that. Anyway, I am out of here. God willing, I'll be back tomorrow. Hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.